as I do, right? I can't think of anything better. The fact that they aren't talking about our team with the depth that we have at every position, I've been saying it to every that I've spoken to in the media, right? In terms of our goalies, our back end close defensemen, our long stick middies, our short stick middies, our face-off guy, our midfields, and our attack. We got the best players at each respective spot. Saying what we did. We set the tone. They got to fall in our role. You guys understand that? And that comes down to you handling your role and embracing it regardless of what it is. We don't give a who plays. This is about winning, and that's it. On three. 1, 2, 3. Ah!
All right. And you don't see Matt here because Matt doesn't want to hang out with us for right now. He's got some personal stuff. So I've got one returning, and then I've got a debut of somebody. So we'll start with the debut. Jack, you've reached out to me and Matt. We had a conversation behind the scenes. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself and then start with there, and then I'll go to the person who always answers my Instagram DMs next. I'll just –
Well, thank you, everyone, for having me on. I'm Jack. To all the listeners out there, I'm a freshman at Syracuse studying journalism on the sports media track. Really excited. Should be an amazing lacrosse season here. What a team, what a group. We have the Spalina finale among many others, the number 5 incoming freshman class in the country. Really a blend like no other to start this season.
And then I'll obviously go to the person who's drinking his water as I was about to introduce him. I know who you are. Jack got to introduce you. If you want to do, I don't know if you want to reintroduce yourself. Like, I know you're local, so people still know who you are.
Oh, man. I guess you can officially say I'm Unk status now.
You're Unk Jovan. So, that's what we're
yeah, Jovan Miller, class of 2011.
Yeah,
Lord help me, that's getting further and further away now. But yes, was a member of the last 2 national championship teams in 08 and 09. Been a fanboy since well before I came to play lacrosse at Cuse. But yeah, just an enthusiast for the program. And Dan reached out and I was like, all right. Gotcha.
I know, I joke with you. I know you're the one person who I can reach out to that's like, yep, I'll do it. Yep. Yeah, just tell me a day. We'll chop it up. We'll talk to Desco. We're not going to do that though.
Yeah.
I want to do a Desco episode because we'll go for 4 hours just of conspiracy theories and everything else that we can talk about. Let's start with last year though first, right? The overall assessment from last year, from the player perspective and the fanboy perspective, because those are 2 different sides of the coin, obviously for you.
Oof. I'm going to say from a fan perspective, if we're talking about the overall legacy of the program, I guess you're disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, as somebody who understands that it's a different Syracuse program that these guys have inherited as opposed to the one I inherited, I will say as a player, I'm more than encouraged.
Right.
Just because you got over the proverbial hump of getting the championship weekend, and we had not been there since 2013. So it's just been a really long time. So if I'm a player, I'm encouraged just because we got over one of the proverbial humps of the program. Yep. But if I'm a fan, obviously I'm spoiled by the lineage and by the success. But if I'm, like I said, I think as somebody who played, I'm going to obviously lean more into the player side of it of at least you now know that if you put the pieces together, you can get to the promised land. Granted, it would have been nice to win it, but you at least know you can get to the desired destination.
You call it a successful season?
Would I call it a successful season?
Yeah, you. I'm not saying me, right? Because the majority of the public cry was make it to championship weekend. We're good. Yeah. And then this year, obviously, take that other leap.
I think fans are never happy though, so that's why
I'm one of those. So
as much as I appreciate fandom, I also say like nobody moves the goalpost more than the fan does, right? So, I would call it a successful season because, again, think how many classes I went through with some of the talent we've had in that course of time, and it's hard not to at least include the idea of some of the scandal and some of the things that were going on behind closed doors that became public knowledge. That is going to feed into the performance of your players, right? We had the worst a few X amount of years ago, we had the worst season in school history. There's a lot of things that kind of add up into why we don't why teams don't get over the proverbial hump. So I would say yes, because based on if you look at the landscape of the other programs that we kind of been competing against, I do think that we've been a step behind. I think it was nice to see a lot of it come together last year.
Right.
It's just going to be how do you follow that up?
Right.
Jovan, you just talked about the 2025 team's expectations. What are your expectations for 2026? Obviously, a lot of the chat online is title or bust. What's your take on that?
Well, you play at a place like Syracuse, it's always that. It'd be the equivalent now of, right now the dynasty of the NFL is the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Regardless of whether they win it or not, if they're in the Super Bowl, it's like we had an opportunity, we win or we lose. You play at a place like Syracuse, the same thing. You can't – obviously, people love to harp on history, and we do have a very impressive history.
Yep.
It's hard. It's unfair to an extent. But also you look at some of these other programs that have figured out, you know what I mean, the formula. But do I think it would be a failure of a season? I don't know.
Right.
For me, I hated personally. It was weird to not be in championship weekend. It was weird. Like I feel like your season start at the quarterfinal. That's how I was used to. Like your season starts at the quarterfinal. I think that for the players, what I'm most interested in just seeing what the team looks like between the lines, because I don't know what our midfield's going to look like. I'm really interested to see what that's going to look like. But I think that a successful season has got to be a Final Four, I think. It's a weird line now. It's a really weird line. I can still think of programs that are better than us.
Yeah. So my only pushback, and you and I have had this conversation many times with that, is if you don't win it with this class, it just becomes the move the goalpost for the program, right? Because we kept hearing how good this and I'm not. This isn't a critical thing. This is just the lacrosse media screamed how good this recruiting class was. This is going to be the one that puts Syracuse over the post. So me, Matt, Jack, to a certain extent, right? We hear that as somebody who didn't play on that level. You obviously did. I hear that. And my first reaction is, okay, national championship. It doesn't matter when, right? Like, as long as it's sometime in the 4 years. That's the way that I think about it. So is it a failure if they don't win a national championship?
If that's the case, in the last 15 years have been failures.
Right. Okay. We can agree there.
I mean, there's a few teams. I think like the 2013 team. So I went to Philly for that Final Four when we lost to Duke, right? That was all. Brendan Fowler took the game over.
Yeah,
we lose that game, right? I thought that team overachieved. So I thought that 2013 team, they overachieved. I thought the 2014 team, we get Ben Williams out the transfer portal.
Right.
He was darn near every faceoff known to man. We lose to Hopkins in the quarterfinal. That was a game. I said, if I'm the AD If you were thinking about moving on from Coach Desco, that's the game.
Right.
Because you can't look at that roster. If we get to the Final Four, we beat Maryland and we beat Loyola. I think it was Loyola who won that one. Point being is,
I think it was, yeah.
I think that team is too darn good to not get to a championship weekend. I say that to say is, if you look at all those, like, over the course of time, there's been a huge letdown along the way of what we should have. So I think that if you're being realistic about what a program is currently, I don't think it is, but historically, absolutely. I also think that there's a desperation behind the program,
right?
And so if you don't achieve by somebody else's standard, then you're a failure. And I do think that the goalpost continues to move, but it has more to do with the fact that we finally kind of saw some of these pieces come together.
Right.
And I think that that's probably what we're so harping on right now.
Jack, I don't know if you have you can chime in if you have anything else, because we're going to go. Do you think the boosters feel that way? That's the way that I'll phrase it to you. Because a couple of the lacrosse boosters. I put that in air quotes because I don't want to do a whole dive in on the program and how they on the boosters and all that. It's going to take way too long. Do you think that the boosters feel that way? We'll just say the Descos, because they probably donate a lot, right? Like that's just a guess on them. Like the Simi family, obviously, like they put a lot into it. Would you say that those type of families feel the same way though? Because Simi was in a different era. Like Simi was.
I think people you just get super spoiled, man. I just think that's all right. So right now we're in October, and we're now in playoff baseball.
Yep.
The Yankees haven't won a championship since 2009.
Yeah.
The first thing they go back to is the 26 you won before that one. Because you're so spoiled by doing it, right? So I think with Syracuse, we've been spoiled for a very long time.
Right.
And so the boosters, they're I think that if somebody like a Simi that obviously gets to see the kids and meet you know what I mean, and been around the program all that time, I think you have a different opinion because you obviously like the kids, but in regards to the program's direction, because we're not winning a trophy, right? And we also, it's weird now because I would have never suited up looking across the field like they're better than us. But as a person who now is on this side watching a game, I'm like, they're better than us. You're watching certain teams, you're like, they're better than us. They do something better. They may be they may have done a better job recruiting. They might have better assistant coaching. They might have had just better direction of the program. So boosters, if you're not one of the honestly our forefathers in regards to Syracuse lacrosse, you absolutely think it's a failure.
What's it like as a player in a team like this, in this 2026 team? You have so many great seniors who have been there, done that, are sort of, trying to lead on their way out, but also this top freshman class, 4 guys in the top 50, a midfielder, Bo Khan at number 17, such a highly touted senior class, but also, a freshman class actually with a 17-year-old on the roster as well. What's the fit of that? You were a former player. How's that fit, and how is that going to, set the team dynamic?
I think that the seniors can't – it's hard to say this, but when you become a senior, every practice is your last. So, there's not going to be a October, 2nd next year, and you're going to have fall ball practice. So, everything you're doing is your last of something. You're going to be your last fall ball. Then you're going to get to your last fall ball scrimmages. It's all these lasts, right? It's very hard not to think about the end of your road. But you're also thinking about do I leave the program in a better place? You know what I mean? Than when I arrived. So the dynamic is going to be big on how does everybody gravitate towards the senior leadership? Because if there's a level of nobility in appreciation for just how much the classes already went through before getting to their last hurrah.
Right.
It's a beautiful galvanizing thing if you do it correctly. I can speak to it myself.
Mm-hmm.
You want to win for people, right? We had Mike Lavelle who ended up winning the Tewaaraton that year. Like we want to win for him because he was a great player that had been overshadowed by, we had some off the field issues. We had a drop in play. We had inner fighting in the team, and then you finally get to his senior year, and then you get this highly touted class like ours came in, and you meet those guys, and you're like, Stephen Brooks was another one where you're like,
right,
we've been through hell and back, and we finally have a good blend of young and a youthful team and some experience. It was a perfect storm of putting it together. It's just it matters on how much the rest of the team emphasizes the appreciation for the seniors without the seniors being selfish about it being about their last hurrah and more or less thinking about how the program will look after they leave.
How much, right? So Jack, you wrote an article about it, the early preseason rankings, right? Like, it doesn't matter the number. We can say 10, we can say, how much does it matter to the players going into fall ball? They obviously see it. Like we all know, everybody sees it now because of social media. It's gone crazy. Does that get into somebody's head? Obviously, it wasn't as big when you were there, right? Because we didn't hear about this. We heard about the weekly in the season as much. I as a fan, I don't remember it as much. I could say it that way. The
only time that ever came across our mind was actually when Mike Lavelle brought it up.
Okay.
So this is after. So the year before I got there, Syracuse had we had 2 or 3 arrests off the field during season.
Right.
Then the players got removed from the team, and then Syracuse goes on to go. I think it was 5-11. It was up to a few years ago. It was the worst season in school history. Right.
Right.
When we come in, we have these guys returning, but at the same time, you just didn't know who was who. We didn't know how good. We also didn't know how good our class was yet either. So let me put that out there because we ended up having a great class. But at the time, when we were in preseason, the only time he ever brought it up, Mike Lavelle put up on a whiteboard before we went out for a run, and he put up number 11. He goes, boys, he goes, as long as I've been a part of lacrosse, he goes, I'll never, and he was cussing up a storm when he's saying it, but he goes, I'll never remember a time where Syracuse lacrosse was outside the top 5.
Right.
He was like, that's a spit in the face. And it really, in 11, stayed up on the whiteboard the whole year. Okay?
Right.
But in our case, it was a little different just because of what was going on away from the field.
It was like a focus point for you, probably.
Correct.
Like
I think what I'm more concerned about could be a lack of focus because of the fact that we got the championship weekend, right?
Right.
So they're like, the deed is done, right? We've already we got in the Final Four. But I think some people, like, if we were in the locker room now, like Galloway, it'd bother him. Me, it wouldn't bother me. Right. It just really depends on the person. Do I understand the motivation of it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think it's preseason is everything. There's a lot of speculation. There's preseason All-American teams, preseason this, middle of the season. Like, been a part of it, seen all of it. At this point, I think everybody's different on that. I really do. I think everybody's different.
You said Lavelle was that person for your team. Yeah. Is there somebody on this team from the people you've talked to, obviously, is there somebody on this team that's that personality that's like, hey, obviously they're higher ranked, right? So it's a little different. It's not okay. They're disrespecting us. We made it championship weekend. We have everybody returning. We have 90% of our offense returning. They're disrespecting us. Is there somebody that you know who's like that on this team?
You have to. I don't know the personalities that well. I do speak to Joey regularly, but a lot of times with leadership like that, like if you're a fire and brimstone type of person, that's usually better suited for. If we're gonna do a revenge tour type season,
you
need a more of a fire and brimstone type person.
Right.
I think that the guys on the team that I'm more or less in contact with a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But the guys that I know fairly well, that's not in their personality. So it would actually be better if it came from one of them. So I think that in my opinion, and I've spoken to Joey personally, I have his number, we like a message and all that.
Right.
I personally believe that he's been given a very unfair
criticism.
I think a lot of what is said about him is incredibly. I think a lot of people project a lot of their own insecurities about him. But I think that if it came from him, I don't know. Again, it's about the team dynamic because are you a leader on and off the field? I'm not just talking about, you know what I mean, like just the performances on the field. How do you carry yourself off of it? It has to come from somebody that everybody respects. And I do think that angle is incredibly effective, but it has to come from the right person. If it comes from the wrong person, I usually look like a hypocrite. You just talking, right? You're just like a noise to me. I'm not even hearing words.
Right. I guess my only thing with that, and this is more of a question for you from your team, right? If it was a Galloway, let's just say Galloway comes in freshman year and does that. Obviously, we know how good he was high school wise. We all heard is it taken that well from him, or does it have to be a veteran? Right? Because it could be Bo Khan saying this, right? Like, I feel disrespected. I'm adding to a team that has everybody. And
we had some awkward situations when it came to Johnny because it was at that time Peter Colaccini was the starter. And then when Galloway came in, it was open competition for the goalie position.
Right.
And then when he won it, you don't want to disrespect Pete.
Right.
Because he's still on the team. Right. So you can't say, I think there's certain verbiage that you don't want to say because that guy's still a part of your team.
Right.
But I will say that it has. Like, I think from our class, like Johnny was the most vocal.
Right.
We also knew that he's the most intense of us. The way that he carried himself. Some of us led in different ways. I think for like Jeremy wasn't really big into the rah-rah stuff. Jeremy just played lacrosse.
Right.
So if Jeremy was like, we knew he was in a good place. If he was smiling, if he was joking, whatever. Joel was a machine. So Joel was just a machine. If there's certain things certain people could do. Right. But it was also like, who's the source of saying certain stuff? I didn't say a whole bunch, but if I did say something, it'd be like, okay, wow, okay. Like it's coming from a place. So I was more or less focused on the result of the game. What was it required for us to win that game? It just really comes down to the source of whatever's being said.
You've been in these coaching meetings in fall ball, in October, September practices. What is the message? What is the goals of these fall ball games? They're playing Princeton and Army on Saturday. Next Friday, they play Binghamton. What are coaches looking to see from the group?
They need to see their standouts. Fall ball is fall ball. If you're a returner and you're a starter, you are doing a continuation of what you already were. Yeah. If you are in the same spot as when you left 2 months ago, then they're like you didn't work hard. You're clearly not dedicated. You clearly, you know what I mean? You're complacent with where you are.
Right.
They just like when you get in fall ball, it's supposed to be a continuation of what they already know about you. And there's something about your game that there's something you've improved upon, right? In regards to when you start playing against other people, I'm balancing my depth chart. Because once fall ball's over, you have a stint of time. If I'm not mistaken, because October is going to be in sometime in October, right? Fall ball. Yeah, you just said it.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so there's a span of time from like mid to late October to like February where you're practicing.
Right.
You're just not practicing against other people.
Right.
So you're only technically, live action against somebody else, slide packages and whatever is going to be in the next few weeks. So your idea as a coach is, what's my depth chart look like? Who am I going to play? And so when Joey goes out there, obviously he's been a 3-year starter. Ain't nobody going to be really overly surprised if he goes out there, gives you 2 and 6 or whatever. But that's just Joey's just been doing that pretty much his whole career. Right. But if there's certain guys where like a Trey, like my guy Trey, or Bear, it's going to be Trey. Trey and Bear, you two are no longer in competition. Y'all going to be out there at the same time.
Should be.
Trey, I'm going to need you to average a hat trick.
Yeah.
Bear, I'm going to need you to draw some slides, maybe give me 2 or 3 goals or whatever. So they're going to be in continuation. So when you're looking at your depth chart when you go into fall ball, and you're playing against good competition too, because playing a team like Army or playing a Princeton, those are be teams that you might play come tournament time. So you're gonna play pretty good competition early.
What does that say for Binghamton though? Because we know Binghamton, for lack of a better term, isn't in the upper echelon of those 2 teams that you just named. Is it like, okay, Joey, you're playing a majority of the Princeton, right? Because we know the upper echelon, and then Bogue, we'll just say Bogue because we'll keep using Bogue as the reference here. Bogue, you're going to play 90% of the minutes against Binghamton because we know, is it taking the foot off the gas there, or is it still Joey you're going to show off? Or is it like the NFL preseason, right, where you play it?
Yeah, I was going to say that's the best reference point is like,
okay,
you go, all right, if I'm playing like me competitively,
right,
the only team I'm like, roll the ball.
I know where you're going.
Please roll the ball out. It's gonna be Army.
Right. Yep.
Whereas like I'll give it my senior year, for example, we saw our scrimmage schedule. The only one I care about was Maryland.
Right.
Because they came up to the dome for a scrimmage, and I was like, and we didn't ask the coaches, but we kind of knew, like, nah, we're gonna like roll the ball out and like let's see where we're at. And so for them, we played into the third quarter,
okay,
and then they took us out. So I think that you have to monitor it based on, all right, you're gonna certain people are on the team.
Right.
Who do you want to see in different positions? So I wouldn't say necessarily a preseason thing, but like, for example, I tell Joey to come out the box for a little bit, and he has to stay up top.
Right, just to
see what it looks like, right? You can experiment a little bit more when you get into the wall ball stuff, and then you can like, all right, we saw these in the scrimmages. This looked pretty cool. This is a look we can go to, or whatever, and then you kind of start to nuance. But there's certain players like I would love to see Finn. Where's my number? I love Finn. I love Finn.
I know you love Fins. Yeah.
But Finn, I need you. You gotta die somebody at some point, bro.
Right. So how does it? Right. So it works for Joey that way.
Yeah.
What about Jimmy? Right. So you want to see Jimmy progress, obviously.
Yeah.
McCool, we're talking about obviously.
Yes.
Is it like, Jimmy, you're playing half of the Army game and that's it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that right? Because in the NFL preseason, obviously they sub them out, and then everybody else, every bench player tries to make the team. Yeah. Obviously, all these guys have already made the team. We all know that. It's not a tryout.
Right.
But is it something like, okay, like Alex Cavalieri, that's the name that I think of from back then, right? Like, okay, we're gonna give you a shot. Not that he got a shot then, not anything like that, but that's a person I think of, right? When he comes on campus, we're gonna give you a shot. we're going to give Johnny, let's just say, for example, we're going to give Johnny the first half and then Alex the second. Is that kind of how it works goalie wise, or from what you've seen?
Well, a lot of times, like the coaches are obviously the coaches see each other, all the recruiting stuff when they're not on campus. So they have relationships. So like Coach Desco had a relationship with Coach Alvarisi. So like it's a conversation before we actually get out there. They're hanging out. They're like, hey man, how's the team look? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, how you want to do this?
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, I'm going to play my starters for the first half. And then we can start sprinkling them out.
Okay.
So you have a conversation like that before, just like preseason with NFL football. They're like, how long we want to play them for?
Right. When I see you guys, when I see your guys come out, okay, I got that signal.
Right. Like you kind of give each other the nod of like, all right, man, I'm calling my dogs off. Like, let's get some development. Now let's get into some of the younger guys who aren't going to play that much. Then you let them get out there and kind of and squabble as well.
How much are positional battles won or lost or fought out, should I say, in fall ball? Are coaches, November through January, or are they, do they want to look at the live reps in October?
Okay, so if you have a really good, that's a great question. If you have all right, so if you have somebody coming in that you know is gonna compete for time, you tell the person that's already on the team you are going to have competition. You don't have them together. You just tell them there's somebody that's coming in, and you pretty much, and coaches do this on purpose. You try to see what kind of player is he a competitor or is he a quitter? Where they kind of put it out there early of like, hey, we got somebody coming in that's going to challenge you. Like, we going to see where you're at. A lot of times the competition usually starts probably post fall ball. But here's why. At the beginning of fall ball, you're just trying to see what everybody can do. And then the like Jimmy McCool is a great example of like slowly but surely he just got more and more confident as the year went on. He got more confident and whatever, but he was asked to do certain things because of how inconsistent the close defense was, right? So if you have a bad close defense, the main thing you want to do is you're trying to work on that chemistry, right, with the people going to be working in front of him. So I'm not going to have a conversation with my goalie about competition, but my close defenseman, I'm like, hey, we got some pretty good polls coming in this upcoming class. You are going to be challenged. You start them usually around you pretty much say probably the last week of you guys practicing against each other. And you say, hey, if you want to get a leg up on your competition, you got 3 opportunities between Binghamton, Princeton, you know what I mean? And
Army.
Yes, you have an opportunity to get them out of there. And then the competition, and then again, it actually goes in loops. Because once you are, let's just say you go into fall ball, like whatever, and after fall ball is over, you get to the scrimmages, and you ball in those scrimmages, you are higher on the depth chart, and now it's pretty much even surface. How you handle being the person that didn't play as well, or how you handle being the person that excelled, says everything about the next few months as you get closer to the actual season. So your competition is actually told to you before the scrimmages. Once you kind of figure it out, after that, when you get to now we're in the spring ball, now you know what I mean. Now Christmas break is over and we're back on campus. You already know.
Yeah,
that's the guy you're going against for a starting spot. Or for time.
Jack has some breaking news, so I'll let Jack. You can announce that right now if you'd like. Actually, if you want.
Well, we thought that Hanson Pack over the summer was going to be the only 17-year-old playing college across this year. It looks like we'll have 2. Dylan Faison, a Notre Dame commit. He will be playing for the Irish this March. The number 1 recruit in the 2026 class. Would love your thoughts on that. 17 years old.
First of all, I I can't do Notre Dame. I just can't. So
Yeah.
I can't. I
okay,
can't.
so let's just hypothetically he's going to Syracuse. We'll just hypothetically he's going to
And
Syracuse.
also, okay, I'm being petty, but like,
yeah, I know you are.
I'm not overly shocked by a kid that like the talent level of the kids these days is just like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's kind of like mind-boggling some of the stuff that the kids are doing at 16, 17 years old.
mm-hmm.
The mere fact he's enrolling early clearly tells me, number one, he's a smart kid. Clearly a smart kid.
Yeah.
Because you're going into Notre Dame, right? That's another conversation.
Right.
But secondly, it clearly means that he believes he can see time early.
Right.
Well, a lot of times, NFL, Lord help me, football players do it regular. That's more of a normal thing because they try to get in the fall. When you try to get in the spring ball is when you learn the playbook. Right. And then when you get to fall, when season's about to start, that's when you can kind of start to develop or whatever. So it clearly is telling me that he thinks he can get some time right away.
Right.
And clearly, and if you're the number one recruit in the country, more than likely you're going to play either way. Now, if you're going to be starting as a freshman at Notre Dame, hey, man, more power to you.
What? I think his brother's Jordan, right? Am I just
right? And
okay.
Dylan actually plans to play both as well.
Okay. So I'm going to, Jovan, you'll understand this. Tom Guadagnolo and Kyle Guadagnolo, right?
Yeah.
The years that what is having it? I mean, that's the ones that I think of immediately. Obviously, Paul and Gary. What is having a brother who's on campus do? Obviously, Kyle graduated before Tom. Not. But like, what is having a brother who's going through it do for a number one recruit that's going through all the emotions of a 17-year-old kid strolling onto college campus? Obviously, it's a different time now than it used to be, but
you're given a fail-safe in ways that other people aren't.
Yeah.
Because you actually have already been watching your own brother go through the process of not only getting recruited, but playing in college. Right. So his brother was coming home each year. He's coming home and he's a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, wiser as a player. And then his younger brother, you're just soaking in all the information. So you're watching him do all that stuff. So you get on that same regimen with him. It's a huge benefit. It's a huge benefit not only have a brother, but just have people you're familiar with in general. Like you played in some circuit together and then you go to college at the same university. It helps because you don't have to work on the timing and the chemistry stuff as much as other people do. So it's a huge advantage. Huge advantage.
And you have a crybaby coach, but that's just me being petty. I'm not gonna dive into that because somebody told me to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10. Yeah. You played, obviously. Jack and I were kind of joking about the Princeton style where we're going to pass the ball around 24 times with 4 minutes to go. And how much would you want to play in the shot clock era of college lacrosse?
God, I mean. You know what's more deflating about it? It's the idea of being the reason it's here now.
Yeah.
Like that's really demoralizing. Right. You watch sports now, I'm watching the college, a high school game, and like they're doing it at the high school level now.
Yeah, I saw that now. I saw that they're integrating it.
I'm like, of course, it's a beautiful, the lacrosse is probably outside of hockey. I know I can't even believe I'm saying that. I never play hockey, but it's the most visually satisfying game.
Yep.
Because of how fast it goes. It's perpetual, right?
Yep.
For it to be to a standstill that way at the time, it sucks because I don't think that we still got the best out of some of the players of that generation of time. Because you were able to sit on the ball. But I would have loved to play, obviously, in the shot clock era because I didn't play in it until I got to the pros. And obviously, you're talking about a 60-second shot clock. In that case, that was obviously we were shooting the ball at 30 seconds most of the time anyway. But I would have loved to play in the era with a shot clock.
Who's the guy in your – go ahead, Jack. I have one more.
I got a fun one for you here.
Sure.
During fall ball next week or two, Gary Gate gives you a phone call.
Oh boy,
What's
you don't
your
want
message before practice to this team.
To the team.
I thought that was going a whole nother way, so I was like, I don't know if we want to go here. Go ahead.
I would just say that right now that I would say to the team is fall ball is about competition amongst each other. It's like who really wants to compete? Because right now you're not playing anybody else.
Right.
So it's really about how bad, because once I got a sniff of possibly starting, that's all I need to hear. I became possessed with it. I think that your fall ball is about how the coaches are looking at how you compete against your brothers in this case. If you are the person that's like, I already got it, I'm made in the shade, I'm good, whatever, they're going to pick up on that. If you also somebody who's like a great player already and you're still going crazy, it raises the level. So like I would say to the boys in general is fall ball is about competing with each other.
Right.
Like the more you bring out of this person, out of your teammate, the better the team's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you hold back, your team's not gonna be very good.
So it's easy to see it from the player side how foul ball works, right?
Yeah.
So for the casual fan, let's just say JD it's at JD next Friday, right?
Okay.
What am I know the position battles, right? So I know how what am I going to be looking forward to, right? What is there something to look for the person who doesn't go to every game, right? And they get a first opportunity to go to fall ball, which the university actually publicized. I'll just also say it that way without doing a rant. Yeah, finally publicized that it's public.
What Jack was talking about, that class.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I already know, like, there are certain players that, like, if you've been at the university, if you've been to some games already, you know who JT is, right? You know who Spoon is. You know who Leo is. You know who McCool is. You know who they are, right?
Right.
You know those guys. Who is going to be the new part? Who's going to be the new component to this new drink, this new orange drink that we're going to be like, I really want to see more of this guy. Fall ball is where you go and you're like, not familiar with this kid, heard great things about this kid. In our case, like we had our class when we came in, we heard about this guy who was really good at finishing the ball. We just didn't know how good until we got in competition on the field. And we're like, everything he catches goes in the net. And then Stephen Keogh ended up being the three, you know what I mean? Keogh ended up half the year, they finally said, we as much as we want to show allegiance to a senior, he was just a better goal scorer than the guy that was starting. And he ended up taking the spot, and he's a 3.5, pretty much a 4-year starter at Q's. Point being is that's what fall ball is for.
Okay.
You start looking at this class of this ranked 5th overall class. Right. Who are the guys who are expected to play right away? What numbers are they? Now I'm gonna watch them.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to watch.
And you also get people who do fantasy lacrosse drafts, as people have told me in the past, and they draft. I've talked to a bunch of season ticket holders who are way too into that. Side note, Jovan, we are SU. You'll understand who I'm talking about. Moved to South Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that, so I don't know if you talked to him about that.
We are.
That's who I'm talking about. I think you did. Yeah, he moved to South Carolina, so I've joked with him every time that he's not a real Syracuse fan now.
Was he in Charleston?
I think so.
Yeah, Charleston's vibes though. I ain't gonna lie.
I know you. Trying to think. The state of Section 3 lacrosse, right? It's changed a lot since.
A lot.
What does it say? Just the state of it as a whole first, and then I'll dive into a Charlie Lockwood thing that I want to talk to you about.
Well, I mean, there's been so many differences in like the classes and stuff, right? So the class A, B, C, D stuff. Like, I mean, can't remember the last. I mean, when I heard that CBA, when we won our state championship, we were in Class D. Yep. Right. And now we're back in Class C or B right now.
I think it's all shifted. It's all shifted so many times that I like. And all the combined schools and all that dumb stuff.
I think one of our issues right now with Section 3 is we're not very good anymore.
Yeah.
We're not very good anymore. There was a time where, you're going from, if you're playing a Skinny Atlas, you're playing a Lafayette, there are 3 or 4 guys that have signed Division I places, and they're going to play right away. I think that the talent pool is it's clearly drained, but I do think the Section 3 as a whole has not been as good as it used to be. It was cool to see West Genesee get back to a state title. Don't get me wrong. I did watch that.
Yep.
It was, I saw CBA get to the semifinal. It was cool to see that as well. But I do think as a whole, the section has a lot of the talent has dissipated over the course of time.
Is it easy to say, though, that the prep schools have played a part? Because when we were playing, it wasn't they weren't as big as they weren't. They haven't exploded like they did now. It's a credit to all the prep schools. I'm trying to think. There was a kid, Emmer, right? Wasn't it Emmer who went to the kid from Skinny Atlas who went? He planned to play hockey. Either way, I'm gonna blank on the name. It's gonna bother me later. You don't see a lot of those kids staying around for all sports, to be fair. It's not just a lacrosse thing, because there are basketball players who are in the NBA now who don't claim Syracuse because they went to a prep school. We'll just say it that way. Because they were, it's tough, right? Because it's a tough question because they weren't as big when we were there. What, besides the exposure, what's the upside to the prep school type? Maybe, Jack, you can answer it from your perspective as well. Honestly, both of you can.
Jack, I think you should take this one.
Yeah.
No, it's a good question. No, it's a really good question.
Yeah.
I've had the chance to. I was high school broadcaster. I went to prep school. I don't know, Jovan, if you know St. Sebastian's.
St. Sebastian's. That's in. Is that Maryland?
Mass.
My bad. Okay.
So I've had the chance to do games from both public and private. Actually, funny thing is, we have players on the Syracuse team that have played in both conferences that I've broadcasted for, which is very interesting. For me, the biggest thing just watching is the new St. Seb's head coach is a former BU assistant, and there's a certain pull that these prep schools, the dedication they put into the sport, that the public school, maybe it's just, the inner school, the priorities, or the school system, the priorities, that the public school, the private school, if they're allowed to, if that's something they want to do, if they say, hey, look, we want to be dominant at lacrosse, then they can pull together the resources to do it.
I think that private schools make an emphasis on highlighting the college the kid's going to. Right. I think public highlights the school that they're at.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So if I'm at a really good public high school, it's about that high school.
Right.
If I'm at a place like St. Sebastian or like CBA, it's this kid's going to Notre Dame. He's going to Virginia.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, I honestly, man, if you're going to put that kind of time and effort into making that decision to go away from public, it's got to work out for you.
Right.
It has to. And it can't work out on a small level. Talking to somebody that happened to. My parents moved me out of public school and the private school. Yeah, it's nice to have a college degree from Syracuse, but damn it, we're going to need some results. I want some results out of this too. Yeah. All American flags out there too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you're going to make that move, it can't be to go sit on the bench for 4 years somewhere. So I think with public schools, they just really emphasize, which is why, it's so hard to work around the club system now, because there's so much emphasis on what club is this kid a part of, as opposed to when we were in the high school realm, it was he goes to West Genesee. He goes to enter whatever Conestoga in Philly. He goes to one of these big, very dominant public school, Ward Melville.
Yep.
They go there, you know what I mean? They're non-preparatory, anything like that. So you got to those who make that decision, it's got to work out on the big, like it's got to work on the big picture. Like it can't just be like, I signed and I'm sprinkling in playing time here and there's like, nah, dog. You need to like, you making that kind of sacrifice, it's got to pan out real talk.
What does it say for Charlie Lockwood's kid, who obviously everybody in this area has followed him and knows who he is? You know where I'm going with this, so we can just play. We can just play this game. You have a legacy in Charlie, right? That you know who he is. When I'm sure Jack, you'll learn obviously what he means to the program. You already know what I'm going to ask you. Like we've played. You and I have had this talk about Colsey, so I'll just phrase it that way. Except the Lockwood style. That's how I'll say it. You know where I'm going with this, so you can talk about this. I
know a little bit of that backstory, but it's not my story to tell. But I will say that I do think that clearly the fathers are having enough of a say to say they don't believe that Syracuse is the right place for their son.
Right.
They're just not the ones coming out and saying it out loud. But it's not even about being sad because, again, this is still a 17, 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It is disappointing, right? When you have a talent, because I actually played against him this summer down at Shove Park.
Okay.
Like you have a kid that is that talented, that young, and they're still finding their way out of Syracuse. I think that has more to do with Syracuse than anything. Right. I think that like I said, with Roy Colsey's son making that decision, like it clearly had more to do with they didn't see enough, whether it be recruiting, whether it be like other recruits coming in, because that matters too. People don't understand when you make a college commitment and you're like, yeah, I'm going to play here. Like you also contribute, like you look around at who's coming too.
Right.
But people don't understand about recruiting. Like I'm not going to be the only recruit that goes to Syracuse. So like I ironically, the reason why it was so easy to watch Syracuse lacrosse for my 4 years was because we knew each other before. We played on the same team with each other before. So I think it was 6 of us had played before we got to Syracuse together.
Right.
So we were familiar with each other. We knew what to say to each other. You know what I mean? We also knew each other's like tendencies and all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, like fathers are involved. Yeah. They're letting their son make the decision, but they're also probably telling them on the side, like, listen, if the program, like I wouldn't be surprised. I'll give you a little one to put on your hat. I wouldn't be surprised if Colsey's son or Lockwood doesn't stay at the Naval Academy. I wouldn't be surprised to transfer to Syracuse.
Well, that's a great way to say it because because Colsey's kids entered the portal.
Yep.
And the immediate talk that I heard from a lot of people was Syracuse is calling. Syracuse is calling. Syracuse is calling. And publicly, I'll just say it that way, we saw none of that. I'll just raise it that right. Now behind the scenes, obviously it's a whole different ballgame, right? Because Gary could have been on the phone with Roy. We know how this works. Like same with Charlie. Hey, if your kid doesn't work out at the Naval, he always has a place on my not on my bench, right? Because if you're that kid, if you're that kid, you don't want to, like you're talking about with the prep schools, right? If you're Charlie's kid, you don't transfer from the Naval Academy where you're probably going to play, to be fair, to Syracuse. And I'm not even saying this is just a general example in this way.
No, sure.
Where you transfer to Syracuse where there's a chance you're on the bench. And you're just like, okay, I transferred here where I was playing to a school that values me because of my dad, if that makes sense.
I think one of the issues that kids face when you're legacies and you're actually good, I hate to say it that way, but Hey, Superman.
Keep going. We're talking Charlie Lockwood. So we're talking about how they didn't recruit his kid, pretty much. That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
But when you are in a position where kids want their own legacies too, man. Like at the end of the day, like you still want to have your own thing. I will say with him not getting recruited, it's just like a weird argument or conversation because based on how some of the recruiting that has happened more recently, either you're telling me that you don't know what you're doing, recruiters, right? Or the guy really isn't very good. And a lot of times I just think that you don't know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So if his son is not considering a place like Syracuse, and clearly we don't know what we're doing. It's not the fact that he may not be that good. But I will say this. So a place like the Naval Academy, they're a lot better now.
Yeah.
They're a lot better now. So it's not like you're getting a abbreviated version of a good team. Like they're pretty good now. And if they want him, but I'm not sure if they want him to go into the Naval Academy straight away or he's going to Navy Prep. Point being is he still has a 2-year gap before he has to be locked into military duty or not. Right. So a lot of times when kids make those decisions, it's because it's going to benefit them in the long run. They don't have to pay for school, right? Mm-hmm. Military service and everything. They're taking care of the rest of their lives. Now, if you ain't used to waking up at 4:00 in the morning, 1,000 push-ups, sit-ups, whatever, and you don't get to wake up next to a shorty every day, you know what I mean? Because you went to college. Now, that's usually when a lot of the Navy prep boys or the prep school kids, they leave and they go to a 4-year university. So, but they're having an influence. They're just kind of like, I don't think my son is a good fit, or they may not like somebody on the staff. That's a big one too. I don't think Colsey clearly, obviously has a relationship with Gary.
Right.
But he ain't playing with Gary. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it's like these relationships, we're banking on these relationships and they're not working.
I know you just mentioned recruiting. In recent recruiting, especially, they've been trying to, expand and really dominate, Maryland, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New England, all the sort of hotbeds. What effect is that having on the local Syracuse area? Because I know Jake Bassino just won LSM of the year. He talked about being from the area, not being recruited by Syracuse.
Yeah, I was going to say he'll go on a rant for 20 minutes about this. I don't know
if what is your take on going for these sort of hotbeds and ignoring your front porch?
I think that what's happened is like club lacrosse has obviously put a different scale on what you consider to be a good or bad player. Mm-hmm. So if you're not a part of a good club by its national ranking or by its popularity, then you're with a bad club, and or you're with a good club. If you happen to be with a good club, but you're not a good player, you still get more love than the great player with a bad club because you're actually playing with better players. So a lot of these guys are going to these huge universities, right? And you just happen to be on the team with a kid who's actually going to start at Virginia, and you're going to be riding the pine at Colgate. The two aren't making any sense, but because of the popularity of the said club, that's what's starting to pan out more, is that it matters what club you're a part of. In upstate New York, it used to be you started with the local high schools first, and then you start being like, okay, what else is out there? So the team, once upon a time, was a lot of upstate guys, a lot of New York guys, period. It would be, we used to recruit the island. Joey Spallina, obviously a good example. Yeah. But we used to have, Leo's another example, but there used to be on our team, we used to have, give or take, 10 island boys on the team, and then another 20-something that were upstate kids. And they were from all the respective high schools in the area. You might have more than one. Too. Right, you might have one or two, whatever. And I think the big thing is the reason why they started looking away from Syracuse was not only that maybe that the talent went down a little bit, like has downgraded a little bit, but also to the ones they took chances on and it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say anybody's names, but there had been some.
We know what you're saying.
We know. We know.
They know I'm getting at. Where number 1 overall recruit, number 2 overall recruit, top 5 overall recruit, and they didn't see nothing about what the hype was.
Yeah.
So they started being like, well, why do I want to keep recruiting my backyard if they're not panning out?
Yep.
You know, there's, to use a different sports analogy, like Ohio State doesn't recruit Ohio. They recruit the country.
Yeah.
Texas doesn't recruit Texas. It starts in Texas, but they will, if they're starting quarterbacks from California, he's from California.
Yeah. Yep.
Some of the bigger universities, Georgia, same thing. Like they recruit the country. They're not, if you're the best player in Alaska and you can help them win football games, they're going to get you to come to Georgia.
Yep.
Some of the programs, like a Syracuse it was very upstate based, and we had the talent for it. It's no longer there. And now, if you're going to fill up your roster with them, they got to be worth it. Right now, it's not panning out. And now they're looking at Syracuse like, you're no longer as good as you used to be, because that's a key factor in it, right? Yep. I don't want to be a part of any more rebuilding projects. I want to be a part of something, a house that's already built, right? Yep. And unfortunately, it comes down to it's not panning out for some of the players.
Right.
And so they're like, well, why do we keep recruiting this area if it's not working out?
Do you think there's less of that thought you just had of like, oh, I don't want to be a part of rebuilding because they're starting to get there in terms of like made the Final Four last year, probably poised to get there again this year, hopefully. Do you think that, that helps with that part of it?
I think what helps with a part of it is that it goes to what Jack had mentioned at the beginning, was that we finally we have a top 5 recruiting class.
Mm-hmm.
How you rebuild a program is that you don't start. Joey Spallina's class was the beginning of the rebuild as it is today, right?
Yep.
We saw the fruits of the labor last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The hope is that next year, with this recruiting class, this top 5 recruiting class, the hope is that they are a building block, a stepping stone for what Joey's class did.
Yep.
And then there's a class that's better than theirs. So then we start getting, because if we look at the last 15 years since I graduated, golly.
Yeah, it's longer than that.
We're old, Jovan. We're old.
We're old. We're all. Jack's the baby here. Jack's the baby.
So 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
If we look at that span of time, that 15 years, how many top 5 recruits have panned out that went to Syracuse? Because it gets awkward very quickly when you we put a lot of hype in the said player and it didn't work out.
Yep.
Matt, and so you have to start looking at it that way too. Like Joey's Joey's a building block now.
Oh.
The hope is that the class that's here, that the new class, the hope is that a bunch of those boys are going to see a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because they see a lot of time, then their next 3 years after that, it attracts better talent. It attracts more kids want to come because of the Final Four. So us not winning, it sucked. Don't get me wrong. I was in that rain and everything. But you know what? At the end of the day, we were there. So at least kids who are getting recruited by Syracuse are like, they're in the Final Four. That school is looking at me.
Yeah. I got to mess with something on my screen here. I'm going to mute myself real quick.
No, you can't do that. How do you think, right? So this is the first time they publicly announced the fall ball and said it's open to the public. Obviously, parents, all that fun stuff have been able to attend. How do you think that's going to be received at like JD or this weekend? Let's just say, because that's also public as they've announced. What do you think the attendance is going to be?
It better be received the right way, because people don't get opportunities to see fall ball. The thing is, you get to see like the whole process when you do fall ball. Mm-hmm. So like you get to actually see when the players like are in pennies and they're trying stuff out. Like a lot of that is access that you usually don't get in a regular season. You don't get that usually. So it should be welcome just because you're going to get to see. I always look at fall ball to me is like the NFL draft. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan. We are god awful, right? But it's nice to be 0-0 and see the potential of everything.
Yeah,
so I look at fall ball is like the NFL draft, like the draft, where you're we're 0-0. Who knows what we're gonna be? But I can speculate all I want to and not worry about the repercussions of anything. So it should be received. It should be exciting. I hope that they get a good crowd for it because, end of the day, this is the only preview you get. I like to think of it like a movie preview. And then after that, they go back into production. You won't see them for another 6 months.
Matt, I'll just say you two talk to Joey as much as anybody. Matt will joke about this and say he doesn't, but Matt also has Joey's number and talks to him a lot. So who's the leader in your mind, right? Because it's easy to say Joey, right? But we already talked about how he's not that type of player, not even in a bad way. He's just not, doesn't seem like it. He says what he's got to say. If you had to pick one person, just from your opinion, who's going to be the leader, who would it be?
Are you asking Jovan or all of us?
I can ask all of you. I want all of you.
I think that leadership usually starts with a goalie.
Okay.
Personally. Because as much as the goalie in lacrosse is the quarterback of a football team. People don't think of it that way, but he literally is kind of the spokesman for a lot of things. You just don't realize it at the time. So he's also the person that gives the most encouragement, but also needs the most encouragement as well. Which is why it's always a good source to start with. Because if he's having a bad game, bro, we got you. You're going to score 15 goals. We got you. If we don't score enough goals and he stands on his head and we lose a game, bro, we let you down. It's usually the first person you go to about the good or the bad of a season, of a game. So for me, I think he's got it in him too. I think McCool would be the guy for me because he is the single most important thing to whichever side of the road you go to. For me,
I think Dwan is one of those guys too. That's the first person I think of. He's a lead by example kind of guy. He's gonna show it with his performance. He's gonna be the guy. I could see him being a guy that calls out his teammate for not doing the right thing. He seems like that kind of kid. I don't know. I have literally had no conversations with Billy, so I can't really exactly say that. But that's just the vibe you get. He's a coach's son too. He just he seems like he's got all that stuff, a good head on his shoulders, that kind of stuff. So that's what I would say.
Jack,
I've had this talk with people. Talked with my dad during the Final Four game last year in Boston. I think that lacrosse is still so niche. It's obviously grown a ton last 5-10 years, but it is so niche that the media is very, appreciative of everyone. Everyone, he's really good. He's really good. Joey Spallina is the only player. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's another one. He is the only player where I've ever seen NBA or NFL criticism online after a game.
Boy, you're winding these two right up. This we could go on for hours.
I think that in a senior season for a program and a team that has that much expectations, but also that much doubt, as a team that sort of fizzled out last year, there was so much hype and fizzled out there, couldn't really come through. I think he should be the guy, as a criticized player himself, to lead a team. I'm a Boston guy, Red Sox, Band of Misfits, 2004. I think it's sort of a situation like that.
I can't believe you guys didn't name the most obvious one, Johnny Mullen. Like we talked about how important that position is for this team,
Starts
right?
ends with him.
Yep.
If Johnny goes down and we have a situation like we did last year, where we played the rotating game of who do we not want to face off, that's essentially the way they did it last year.
Yep.
And if he stays healthy and all the Instagram posts that we see, that all the lifting that he's doing, getting
Oh God, did we lose
10 times stronger, getting all that. No, it's been doing that. Don't mock this yet. We were good until you popped in.
Everything goes to hell when I show up.
Yeah. No, I think Johnny's the key. Like, look, I mean, there's obvious ones, right? McCool, Joey. There's obvious ones, but Johnny's that unspoken one that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. Do your thing.
So we're talking about fall ball too, right? And like, I think something for the folks that watch this to think about too is like fall ball, going to a fall ball scrimmage is not going to be a normal game, right? You're going to have a lot of different guys get runs at different, specifically offense, in different spots, in different positions. They're going to try different things. They're going to put some guys down low on defense, some up top. Like, it's a way to try to figure out how things work, where the puzzle pieces fit together. So don't expect a normal game. Don't get bent out of shape if a star player doesn't get 5 goals or like doesn't play as much, because like also that like teams that don't want to show their whole hand in this either. Like, so be realistic in your expectations for those who are watching, that if you do go to the game, have realistic expectations. That's all I'm saying.
My realistic expectation is that Johnny Ruchusa isn't going to go out on the field. That's my only realistic expectation. And
well, because he graduated, I'm pretty sure, so he's not.
Doesn't matter. It's still in my brain that the Johnny Ruchusa effect is going to happen. I mean, I think we're going to see, like, they're going to have to find a second face-off guy, though. I think that's why Johnny's so important, right? Because we have all these recruits that can come in that we all think that can step in.
Yep.
We don't know who the second guy is. And the way that the rules play out, we don't know how that's gonna. There's gonna be some changes to that, obviously, because they're gonna have to tweak that face-off rule a little bit. But I just don't know what you do if Johnny goes down. That's the way that I'll phrase it. That's why I think he's the leader of this team. He might be the most important part. It starts with the face-off, so it's easy to say, but I think a lot of people forget about him. They talk about Jimmy. They talk about Joey.
Yeah.
They talk about Trey. I mean, we've talked about Trey a lot, but
yeah,
I think Johnny's unfortunately the forgotten one that nobody talks about. So
well, it's one of the least flashy positions, right? Like besides short stick D mid, maybe. Like like it's probably second to that. Like you just go out there, do your job, and leave. Like there's no quote unquote sexiness to it, like unless you're the guy who, scoops and runs down and scores. Like other than that, people don't care, right? Like, so
yeah.
And you don't notice it until you're getting killed on face-offs or you're killing someone on face-offs.
Yeah, if it's a 50-50 game, no one gives a crap.
Right. It's really a 1A, 1B with the face-off guy and your goalie. I think that my main concern with Syracuse for the upcoming year is going to be they're very, very headstrong on what they want to do in regards to like how they want to play. And the fact is like my biggest concern has always been with the way that they run. Playing offense is beautiful. To watch them play offense is beautiful. But my problem is that for the games when it's not working, you can't stop anybody.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, you're going to have to either start to alter your philosophy a little bit to where you can win some of these close games, because we can't have Harvard every game where you playing like crap and all of a sudden you wake up and you start playing well. Or we can't have a Manhattan where you're down 1-0 after the first quarter or something like that before you're like, okay, let's start playing lacrosse. There's too much of there's such a stubbornness on the philosophy of how Syracuse plays now that you can't play any other way. And if you can't stop anybody, what happens when you can't score.
Yep.
And
look at the Final Four game. That's exactly what happened.
Final Four game, you can't score, and they holding on to the ball, and they're scoring. And not only are they scoring, they're going 70 seconds into the clock and then scoring. That's what hurt more. It wasn't it wasn't the fact that they were getting the ball that time. It was that they let it get under 10 seconds and then score.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know, so I think that there's got to be a level of a willingness to evolve when it comes to the way Cuse plays. Because if we're gonna do the whole run and shoot thing, then I'm looking at McCool like, hey man, our magic number every game is 12.
Yep.
You can't give up 12, which is crazy to think. I'm serious. Which is crazy to think, because when you watch like professional lacrosse, if you get 11 goals against, you are a wall.
Yeah.
You're a wall in pros, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in college and you're like, you're giving up 12 goals a game, like, they ain't benched you yet? Well, my team's scoring 16, 17 goals a game.
Yeah.
So my magic number is going to be a little different. We got to be willing to change our philosophy a little bit, because if we don't, we're a Mullen injury. We are a JT Spallina injury away from being very normal.
Yep.
A very mediocre team.
That's actually a really interesting point. That's something that Inside Lacrosse actually put in their little rankings description. They said that, the team just sort of disappeared whole quarters, whole halves, and then would wake up. Is there any?
Me, that's why.
Is there any, like, in the most non X's and O's way possible for the casual person at home? Is there any way to explain how someone would go about fixing that problem?
Oh, Lord.
Here we go.
Wow. That's a low. Okay.
Talk your team. We'll just say it that way. Talk your team, like you guys.
Yeah. Okay. So remember I was telling you about earlier, Matt, you weren't on yet.
Yeah.
But like fall ball, for example, I said it's about your depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
But he asked, when do you know you're in a competition for like a starting spot or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually right before the fall ball scrimmages. You tell specific people you are in contention with him to start, so that when you get into the actual live action games, it's not about you against him, but it is about like, I need to perform at a certain level so that I am now in contention to start. I say that to say is one of Syracuse's biggest deficiencies has been the unwillingness to go into the depth charts.
Mm-hmm.
A way you easily fix that is start playing bad and have somebody behind him that's a pretty good backup to that person.
Right.
And let them and let them play well. All of a sudden, the conversation is no longer about this guy's a surefire starter. It's going to be about the spark that this player gave to the team. Why isn't he playing more?
Right.
Yeah.
It happens if you are objective in your analysis of a roster, especially when you get into certain games. How you stop that from happening is when you start seeing somebody play bad. I've seen Stephen Brooks get benched. Okay, I actually went in for him. Okay, and I'm like, what in the world am I doing on the field? And he's not. That's not it. Point being is I've seen it happen. So when you have a coach that has a standard of, we know what we have in the depth chart. We know they're going to give a different look than this player or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you go into a depth chart, that's when you do it. So you stop it when a guy makes a poor decision with the ball. You take him off. Now, granted, you're not going to cuss at him, but he knows why he's next to you. You start putting guys in there that want to make a play, and all of a sudden, it starts to, those lulls don't go quarters. We're not going, 20, 25 minutes of no goals or nothing. Yeah. After a while, you start being like, oh, wow, the standard is very high. The pressure's up, kind of part of being a starter at Syracuse. Now we're not going through these lulls of time. So you have to be willing to go into your depth chart. And I don't think that Syracuse does that. We get very hell-bent on the guys that we like. And if they're playing bad, you keep letting them play bad. And there are some times where it's like, as somebody who's played bad before and been like, you probably should have me out here.
Yeah.
I'm playing bad.
Yeah.
I know I'm playing bad. Like, you got to be willing to go into your depth chart and be like, all right, this guy gives a different look than this guy, and they'll go away. That's what I would say. That's how you stop those from going, because now you know what you have. Because a lot of it was undiscovered stuff. There are guys on that bench right now at Syracuse that I guarantee you, if given opportunity, given a fair amount of time, even if they weren't starting, they can contribute.
I think Tucker's one of those names for me. I'll just say it that way. One of those guys. I'm not necessarily not giving an opportunity, right? Because when his first year, he was on Man Up.
Yeah.
And he fit it perfectly. His shot fits it perfectly. Obviously, talent happens and things change, but you get him late in the game and he's shooting lights out. And then you're like, okay, why can't he why where's the reps there in the middle of the game?
Right.
Like what you're talking about, like guys that can go. JT Spalina is another one. We can play this game. Like the end of the game, he gets reps and he's running past everybody. He's getting back. He's shutting somebody down. Okay. If Carter Rice struggles, why wouldn't you put him in? Obviously, not for the whole game, right? But just give him that, like you're talking about.
Right. You just gotta let him reset, man. Like it's
it's
a part of it. That's the thing. Like you got. I think that was really annoying about conversations like this, not with us, but when you listen to fandom, you're like, "Yo, he's still 19." Like they're still in their own heads. Like it happens. Like it does happen. Where you like are overthinking the game. And sometimes the best thing you can do sometimes is like give him a second, as opposed to it being like, he's not playing up the cuff, he's not good enough. Why in the world do we recruit him? Because you don't, because if you think that he's not thinking that, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so it's even worse when the fans are saying it to you, and then you get in your own head and you keep going out there. And I always say this to fans, like, they're not intentionally going out there and trying to make a mistake. like, you know what I mean? It's like very hard to like listen to people talk. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, so like we're just gonna pay him. Yeah, we got some money on the game. He's just gonna go out there and turn the ball over on purpose. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, so it's very hard when you are so hell bent on a certain way, but at the same time, sometimes a break is required. It does help a little bit for a rep here or there to just be like, let me give him an opportunity. Let's just see what he gives me.
That's what drives me nuts about our fan base is that they are so quick to just be like, the wheels have fallen off. Like,
oh, it's over. It's over, man. Like, he's terrible.
And if you look at the rest of the teams around the country, like, so Brennan O'Neill is arguably, people have said he's like the best lacrosse player since Gary Gate. Some people have said that, right? Like,
yeah.
Which I don't know if I agree with that, but either way, that's kind of how he's treated and the attitude towards him. He's had some pretty piss poor games, but you know what?
Final Four much? Y'all watch the Final Fours?
Yeah, but it happens, right? Like
it does.
You know, like people are human beings; they're allowed to make mistakes. Like, so it's funny because when I coached, way long time ago, I remember my head coach told me, he's like, you get them when they're 18 years old. And by the time they're 22 and figure it out, you get a new crop of 18-year-olds that don't have a clue what they're doing.
Correct.
So it's like, that's, they're 18 to 22-year-old guys, right? Like they're going to make mistakes. They're going to have bad games. It's just the way it is, like it's just people get too bent out of shape about stuff.
That's another great point with Duke too, because they also haven't won a national championship in years. It's been 2014, if I'm right.
So,
their last national title. That sounds right. But they've had some guys. Syracuse has had some guys. But one school acts like the world is ending and that Wild Heck's going to come through one day and cancel the lacrosse program. And the other school
we should cancel him.
We got something going on here.
Yeah, we're not going to do that, Jovan. We're not going to do that. We're not going to
trigger me with that name.
Yeah, he's the SUAD. There, I'll say it so we don't say the
name. Even I know you guys were talking about recruiting earlier. Like, even from the recruiting side of things, like, you look at the 2027s and like, UNC has like 7 5-stars, and like 6 4-stars, and it's like
program
that's all. And everybody like on the message boards is like our class is shit, and like we're got a terrible class, like all this stuff, and it's like, 4 of those 5 stars are attack for UNC.
They all can't.
I guarantee you. Yeah, exactly. Like
they can't.
And what's going to happen is some of those kids aren't going to play, and they're going to leave and go somewhere else.
They're going to leave, absolutely.
So, like, you can't have 10 5-stars in every class. You're not going to be able to play them all, and you're going to lose them. So you got to have a balance of get a handful of good ones, some role players maybe, or some backups, and then like you can't have, So it's funny just how quickly people think the sky is falling here, and it drives me nuts.
I was gonna say I got a message from Hopkins fan Matt. I think you'll know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, Tim.
Yeah, in regards to that, he goes, "Look at UNC's class, Syracuse," and he trolls. So his is all about trolling. There's trolling, and then there's legit people on the fan boards who are nuts. That they were complaining. They were complaining that the game was at JD. Like this is the point we've gotten to, right? Like just be happy that it's open. Like we've never
we haven't had a fall ball scrimmage in years.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the last few fall ball scrimmages were up at Manly, and you couldn't go into them.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy.
I think that at the end of the day, like, and I say this now to current players, and it sounds really bad the way it comes out, but I'm like, yo, F a fan, dog. Straight up. F a fan, dog. Like, if you play well, you are the best thing since sliced bread. If you play bad, why are we recruiting you?
Yep. There's no in between.
That's the most toxic relationship on planet Earth. But the only person that's allowed that tries to justify their opinion is the fan. You can't say F you to them, right? You can't say thank you. All you can say is thank you for the support, right? If I say anything other than that, it's you're ungrateful, you're this, you're that. Bro, end of the day, if your litmus test of acceptable or unacceptable, right? And then can I say this as a former player? Dudes are perfectionists out there too. They're not trying to play bad. They're not trying to. And so
I will say, they also have parents in the stands who will say something. Is all I'm going to say. Because I've sat behind a number one recruit's parents, Jovan. I think the last who we were referring to earlier, at a quarterfinal game, and you and I were saying a lot of things about that player, and that parent turned around and he goes, "Yeah, that's my kid," and I was like, "Oh." Like that was like
it just be mad weird. Like I said, it get weird real quick when you like, oh,
that is
I bet. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's, bro. Like I said, you can't win. But like, I will say about the team structure and stuff, like how we're going about things, recruiting and all that stuff, like. At some point in time, the over the top part is going to be. I always said that I think that at some point in time, the coaches should get all the money that they have in regards to recruiting, and they should list the top 3 recruits in every position and say, "I'm going to give you a full scholarship." I bet you'll get at least 4 of them.
Yeah.
Just go all in. Don't try to parcel it out. Forget the 17 kids in the recruiting class. Just be like, I want 10. And of the 10, 4 of them are top 20. I bet you can do it. I guarantee you can do it.
I think we're closer to that point now than we ever have been, though, because the NIL has gone crazy where they can say, we're recruiting you, we're paying you $1 million, whatever you want to say the number.
Here's the only thing. And I think that this is a huge misconception about NIL. So there's NIL by like collections, and then there's NIL by individual. Joyce Bellina is an individual. He gives stuff by collections.
Right.
So X amount of years ago, like CJ Stroud, for example, he got his whole team for Ohio State. He was a quarterback for Ohio State, right? He gets his whole team beats, Dre beats, headphones, right? That's collections. not everybody on the team is getting anything.
Right.
And a lot of these guys too, when it comes to lacrosse, Joey's marketable, and Joey had some people like looking out for him before he got to Syracuse.
Yep. Yeah, his dad knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing, right? So his dad advocated for him. His dad had some things set up for him in ways where Joey's an individual. There's not a lot of players that are going to come to our university that have not already been through our university that weren't given an opportunity to make NIL money. So there's not going to be a lot of guys that are going to come after. And I say that with lacrosse specifically, not basketball or football, where that is a much bigger factor in how you get a kid. Because when we have a conversation about boosters with our program, it has more to do with facilities, merch, like because you're free marketing when you're on the team. You're free marketing, right?
Right.
So I got one of the alumni shirts. Like you only can get these if you are an alum. Where it's not open like a restaurant. You know what I mean? You can't go get those, at the bookstore or something like that.
Yeah.
But you're free marketing, so you're not having the same conversations, especially when it comes to socioeconomic background and such with these kids. And I think that we have to understand that like lacrosse isn't a huge NIL sport,
right?
When it comes to individuals, it does from a collection standpoint, but only those who actually have that kind of star power. If I'm not mistaken, Owen Duffy at Chapel Hill is a darn good player. I'm pretty sure he's not getting anything NIL.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So this is my gripe with that, and it's more of a gripe with the university than anything else, right? Like, there's a reason Espolina isn't on the women's team. We'll just phrase it that way. We all know what it is. It's not really that hard to figure out. Matt, we've talked about it, how that all happened and all that. They're investing in the program though at Clemson. Just for an example, they're investing a ton into that facility. And this is just a frustration from my side, and I can tell you this, like when I get the university going, hey, we're going to raise your season ticket prices by $25 and we're going to put Wi-Fi into the dome and we're not going to invest anything else back into our programs, which they've shown, Jovan, obviously you know this, we've talked about this, they've shown the inability to put it back into the programs. Yeah. I think there's a frustration from a lot of the people with that.
Which is justifiable.
Like an ROI, essentially. Like I want some return on investment. I want to see. I don't care about new football uniforms for the next 16 years. I just don't like. I don't care about you painting the bleachers orange. Great. Yeah. Like if that's it, like now you're gonna charge me an extra $100 every year. Great. Like, why are you not investing in coaches or players? Because it's coaches on the same side too, right? They've underpaid for a while. Let's just be frank with a lot of things. They've underpaid a lot of coaches that probably should have gotten more and overpaid. Obviously, like
making me want to talk.
We're not going to do this. We're going to do. We talked about doing that whole episode on all that. But like,
so you mentioned Alexa.
Yep.
And the more conversations I've had with the family, the more it's clear to me that it goes back to a point that was made earlier about the legacies in terms of like forging their own path.
Right.
And I think there were some other things at play, but I think that's honestly the number one reason why she chose Clemson is she didn't want to go here and be Joey's little sister. She wanted to go and be Alexa wherever she went, like
right,
and add in you don't have to deal with snow.
Yeah,
you have a brand new facility that's just for your team.
Yep.
And now it's a program that is on the rise. That okay, now we can be the people to put this program on the map. Me and my other friends that moved with me, like it was a perfect recipe for her to go there. Like and I think the only thing that potentially would have flipped that is if Joe ended up in that position instead of Reggie. That might have flipped it. because I could have seen her wanting to play for her dad. But
yeah,
other than that, like, I don't think there was. I think that was the biggest thing for her is I can go be it somewhere else.
I think one of the biggest disappointments was actually Gary leaving the women's game.
Yep.
I think Gary should have stayed in the women's game. I think that Gary would be a national champion with the women's lacrosse program had he stayed with the women's program. He looked at women's lacrosse as a challenge. That's a competitive nature. If you know Gary, that's his competitive nature. He wanted the challenge, and not only did he really outdid himself. I think even amongst his own dream. I mean, they went to 2 national championship games, right? At the end of the day, to watch the trajectory of our program from a woman's side of things, it would have been great to see him stay on that side, because I do believe that the Spallina situation would have panned out to where she would have wanted to come, regardless of Joey.
Yeah.
I think that, but again, like you said, Dan, like there's a part of it is like there's clearly like things that work.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna knock it. Like I get it.
Yeah.
However, in the grand scheme of things, now we're having a conversation of who's good, who has the better program right now. Right. Now I would say the women's program.
Yeah.
The women's program is better than the men's program.
With all the positive momentum.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, yeah.
You and I obviously have talked about the women's side a little bit. What does Reggie's hire mean to you? Because Matt and I have talked about it, like having a local guy, a quote local Jordan Elbridge guy that you never thought would have an SU job. I can tell you that honestly, like that was, I had heard for a while that his name was not there in that, and I was told from somebody that he reached out to them, and that's how it. That's just what I've been told. Now I don't know that for sure. That's not 100%. Is it? Well, how big of an impact is it to get an alum, right, and also a local person?
I think Reg had an affiliation with the program. Obviously, him and Gary coached with the women's program.
Right.
Yep.
This sounds bad, but it's whatever. Syracuse loves to make it seem like they don't have money.
Yep.
So they're very frugal. They're very frugal with their resources.
Yep.
They do. I can affirm the tuition money. I can affirm they have money.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jack. Thank you. But in their hiring practices, they look at it and they say, if we wanted one of these top-notch coaches and we're trying to take them from another university, there's a number we're not willing to go to.
Yep.
Because we did it already when Gary was our coach.
Yep.
They said that there's nobody out there they don't believe is worth what they were paying Gary to be the woman's coach.
Right.
And then even with Trainer, I think she was being underpaid. That's probably why she left.
Yeah.
Because for somebody to be that great and then stay with the university and then become the head coach, and then be just as successful,
right?
Says I'd rather leave. Tells you something's awry here. Yeah. That said, Reg was not up there with a dotted line. It was what's the cheapest we can give him that we believe is a good number to be a head coach at a Division I program like a Syracuse. And it was easier for them to give an opportunity to him because it technically wasn't even an interviewing process. It was like, hey, I'm interested, bet. Gary was on the men's side. I know him. He has, he's familiar with the program. We got him. But they were going to more than likely give him a short end of the stick just because they're frugal with their funds. So Syracuse would make you believe that that's all they could give him, whatever the number is. But they'd rather do that than have to pay top dollar for somebody from one of these, a Northwestern or even a BC to come because they didn't want to spend that kind of money.
As someone who used to work at the university, I can tell you they are very quick to not want to pay people what they should be paid.
Well,
and that's just an employee. We're not even talking
that's
like
an employee, right? You can see it from the outside looking in. You like, why? Yeah. But like I said, and there's certain things like if you're more curious into it, if lacrosse was the way the football or basketball was covered, and somebody said that, like, hypothetically, if John Shire at Duke was like, yeah, so I'm going to leave the place where I went to college, right? I'm going to leave there. I'm going to start coaching at Marshall.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute. Yeah. That's not me disrespecting Penn State for mistraining.
No.
But my point is like,
but it's a step down.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving the motherland to go? All of a sudden, it makes people. It would be covered. There would. I could see if lacrosse was covered in the same way of basketball, football. At some point, there would be some Sports Illustrated story or something like ESPN story that would leak eventually. That would get the details as to why somebody of her ilk would leak.
Now, the one thing with the money. Now, this is something I've heard recently. Been talking to people. Have some sources here. That
okay, Jack, let's go.
Yeah,
this June, we just saw it in hockey really for the first time, college hockey, which you would have never expected. Lacrosse transfer portal. Now, it's not going to be football level yet.
Okay,
but we're going to see some actual dudes moving. Teams are going to be picking up freshmen and sophomores they like. And there's going to be real movement that, following the tournament, that's going to be a big thing for at least 2 weeks. There'll be some sizable movement. So I guess we'll see on the money stuff there.
Jack, you can respond to Gary's text and say thank you for telling me that to relay that to everybody else. I'm just joking. Obviously, I know that's not like, but that's a Gary speech if I've ever heard one. Like, we're gonna see movement, and then you all are gonna be happy.
So it's interesting. Being a local person and growing up a kid in this area, and I don't know how you two feel, Dan and Jovan, but like growing up, going to Syracuse athletics as a kid, it was I want to go there. This is a special place. This is awesome. Yep. We don't have any pro sports teams in the area other than the Crunch, and half the time they suck anyway. So, and same thing with the Mets. But so like pro sports to me as a kid was SU athletics, right? And so since I was as old as I could know, it was my dream to go to Syracuse, right? Like, and when I ended up working there, I equate it to like when you meet a celebrity you look up to and they're kind of a dick. Like that's what it was like, right? Like Syracuse is this awesome holy place. You're growing up, you think it's all sunshine and rainbows. I went there for grad school. That was great. That was awesome. I had a chance to work there, and you can see behind the curtain and you're like, this place actually kind of stinks a little. Like that's exactly what I equate it to. And it's unfortunate, but I don't think that's unique to Syracuse either. Like, and this is getting off on a tangent. That's not anything related to Syracuse lacrosse, but I think higher ed in general has a problem with not paying the people for the amount of work they're doing. But we're not going to go any farther than that. I'm going to leave it there.
We have a dean here, okay, who can speak on this directly.
You are preaching. You are preaching. Lord.
But
yeah, that's athletics in a nutshell. Where now you're going into. Like I always think about like, what if you were paid off of what you've accomplished, right?
Right.
What if you got an extra bump for every time? But what if you also got less money for when you didn't accomplish it, right? The pressure will go crazy. The pressure will go crazy because a lot of times you never talk about how much somebody makes until they fail.
That's true.
Yeah.
You never talk about how much money such and such is making until you don't get the result that you want.
Which is crazy with the Kayla stuff, because I'm shocked we haven't heard the number, right? Because every time some coach leaves, we always hear that Syracuse offered them what we always hear the number, right? It always comes out. Some source comes out and says they offered her $6 million and Penn State offered her 10. Let's just use that as the example, right? Like,
absolutely.
We're gonna hear about it at some point. Somebody's gonna say something. There's gonna be an assistant coach on the staff who knows what the offer, let's just say an offer, right? Like as an extension was, it's gonna come out at some point, right? And then we're gonna play the same game we always play. Okay, they should have, like Jovan, you've said it, they should have offered her more. Great. Now we're gonna do this again. We're gonna play the same game with Reggie. If some other school comes along, offers him a big deal, I don't know anything, but he has to look at it, like, and offers him a good amount of money. And it's kind of sickening to see this cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for every sport. It's not just lacrosse here. Like, it's everything. Like,
well, also the issue. The problem is a lot of times, especially going through this, is like the cult that is your support of your college or university.
Yep.
So it's so funny that Syracuse is very matter-of-factly. So, like, every time that a person leaves, Syracuse wanted to keep them.
Yeah. Yep. That's very true.
That makes sense. So, like, every time so like Jack, you might have been, there's a few years ago, but like Jim Boeheim got reamed through the coals when his last press conference, they were like, hey, like, you're gonna come back, are you gonna be coaching the basketball team?
I remember that. No, I remember that.
And his response was, I don't know, ask him. Ask my AD.
Yeah.
Right? Crazy statement. I thought it was gangster. Crazy statement, right? National audience, because everybody going like, what?
Yeah.
Because it's a crazy comment for somebody who's been at a university that long, right?
Right.
But fact is that the cult members, a lot of the fans are like, well, you know, it's been a good run. Like, they're gonna go on these long tangents. It's like, hold on. Tom Izzo's only won one national championship in 30 plus years of coaching at Michigan State, and nobody trying to get him out of a job.
Nope. They want to give him extensions for a lifetime. They want to give him
extensions. So who's John Calipari with all the talent he's had? John Calipari has one national championship.
Right.
At what point in time do we get to hold everybody to the standard of, well, so Jim Boeheim's been the coach there for 40 plus years and got one national championship. We got guys going on year 40 and got one championship, but nobody's asking you to leave.
Yep.
It's just crazy when you become a part of the cult. The idea is like, well, it was time to go or whatever. And again, we've had this conversation. I was like, yeah, it was time for Coach D to go. But for the example we're talking about, it's just interesting how Syracuse always wants to keep somebody once they leave.
It always comes out. The letter always comes out in the media. We wanted to give them an extension. We offered them an extension.
We were talking with their people. Yeah, like their people were talking with our people, and we thought we had, that kind of thing.
I think the sports radio here doesn't help that either, right? Because now you've got all the people that the Jim Boeheim example, right? Now you have all the people every time he makes a monthly appearance. We want you back. We wish you would have never left. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And then they have a deal with the school, and I know that, but like there's no criticism after that. It ends there. It's like, okay, we're back to Autry. Just for the basketball example, we're back to Autry. We're focusing on Autry. It's not what could they have done. It's okay, he wanted to leave. Or in terms of Desco, right? Okay, Desco wanted to leave. We're on to Gary. We're spending 2 seconds of it on Desco leaving, and now we're on to Gary. We've forgotten about, obviously, most of us have not forgotten about Desco, but like 99% of the fan base moved on to Gary the minute the Desco press conference happened.
And that's a part of the cult, because the idea is the greatest player that ever donned a Syracuse uniform has taken over the program. So it now makes it automatically that life is good again.
Right.
Yeah.
Then every time that you lose, and I'm not knocking Gary because I'm friends with Gary, I'm cool with Gary.
Yeah.
The point being is I'm going off the results. So every time that they losing season or not, the season didn't go the way they wanted it to.
Yeah.
It's he needs his guys. And then he gets his guys, and it's the same result, right? And then they're like, well, it can't be Gary. Yeah. And I say this to anybody in the world of the world. Let somebody offer you a job, offer you $500K to lose. Yep. You'd quit your job.
100%. I can say
what
that.
What you're doing right now for work, you'd quit what you're doing and be like, oh,
yeah.
And we're not going to win?
I'd quit for less than that. I'll just be honest in saying that. Like,
absolutely. So like, I'm honest for that.
So didn't do it for $500 in a steak.
We aren't going to do that, Matt. We aren't going to talk about that because I got to talk about social media talk today. So, but I'm not going to do that.
But that's all I'm saying. I'm not knocking Gary. I'm just saying for the sake of the conversation is it seems like Syracuse always had something in mind, and the people were having a conversation about an extension or something after said person says, "I'm going to go where I believe." Somebody values me for what I think I'm worth.
So
go ahead, Dan, because I'm going to change topics. So finish what you're going to say.
How do we fix that, though? Right? Like, because it's easy. It's been such a long time. Because we even saw it with Simi, though. Like, Simi wanted to walk away, and we'll never know the real answer. I don't know the real answer. Right. Like, did he want to walk away, or did he want to coach for? You know what I mean? You know, Jovan, like we've talked about like Simi, how good he was. Matt, obviously, you just started watching 2 years ago. So I joked.
Stop it. I did not. You're the worst.
But hey, somebody's going to believe it. But like with Simi, he wanted to walk away. He wanted to be a part of that. Wanted to just watch. Probably not. Like, let's just be fair. You're like,
You spend your whole life building something. You build You start with a dream of something, and not only becomes a dream, it becomes beyond your wildest dreams, and then you accomplish it more than once, and then more than twice, and then more than 3 times. And after a while, you're like, now I've not only built my own legacy, but now people want to be a part of a legacy I built. Who would want to give that up? I'm not going to try to usually people don't volunteer to walk away unless they get bored, unless they really do want to walk away from something. But I think that Syracuse is clearly changing its stripes. I don't know what they're changing them to, but it's obviously a different program than when I was there. It's completely different. And so you have to adjust with the times. Times say that it was time for change. And now the spoiled brats of our, our cult, right, are like, we missed the days where we were always winning, and now we're back to that square one. But
Matt, you listening to this because you're one of those people. You're part of the cult. You're part of the cult.
God!
No, I
am the most head in the clouds fan. I'm always positive. I'm always.
That's okay most times. Go ahead. What were you gonna change the topic to? I don't know, Jack. I don't know if you have any questions either. So
no, I'm just. This is really good. I'm just the dynamic with the money and everything, especially Jovan. I don't know how much you follow the football team recently.
Of course, still following.
There's been a lot of rumblings with Fran Brown and hiring cycles. This year, there's been more coaches fired in September than the last 4 years combined. And Coach Brown's name has been brought up in a couple different hiring circles. Obviously, that would be bigger news than any lacrosse hiring or firing.
Yeah.
But, all the money, it's all Cuse Athletics in one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead, Matt.
So,
Jovan, I know you wanted to respond. I don't know if you wanted to respond.
You go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it also Syracuse you'll learn this, Jack, as you get into your Syracuse life. When the basketball team's good, the football team has to be bad.
Yep.
If the football team is good, the basketball team is going to be bad.
Yep.
It's never a case. So you'll never see a situation where Syracuse goes like 10-2 like last year.
Yeah.
The basketball team is top in basketball.
Yep.
We ain't built like that. That's not how our program works.
And if it
does,
does,
like a tertiary sport, we over there. But it's usually so with Fran if he stays, he's going to get priced out because they're not going to want, because he's eventually going to ask for a number. Syracuse is going to say no.
Yeah.
What happened?
He's if great. It does, I was going to say, if it does happen,
he's great for us and everything.
Yeah.
But at some point, he's going to ask for a number that Syracuse is going to say no.
I was going to say, if it does happen, Jack, go for the lottery because it's never happened since I've been a Syracuse fan where both things have worked out that way.
Right. Like, top 10 in basketball, like again, bowl eligible in football. That's usually what your litmus test is. Not top freaking 25 football, top 10 basketball. Don't happen. Never.
Good to know.
Matt, what was your question? I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. So, and I don't know if you guys talked about this. So if you did, just say we already talked about this. But so we talked about the depth chart and stuff. Who are some names that you think you'd like to see step up this year, or either have a bigger role or step up from what they had last year?
I think Bear needs to move to midfield because they're offensive players. We're not really doing attack and midfielders anymore. You have offensive players.
Yeah.
I think Bear should be he's an offensive player. He should be coming from up top. He's a load. Let that man, he's like the juggernaut. You let that man get ahead of steam. Good luck trying to stop dude. But I think that in regards to what's behind him, he's got he's going to be asked to step into a role that I don't know if he's familiar with, but I hope that he's ready for, because they're going to be looking for him to not just draw slides, but they're going to look for him to contribute in a much bigger fashion than last year. Last year he was catching people by surprise. Now people are going to be expecting him to try to get his game going in most games. I'm going to say I think Trey Deer, obviously I mentor him. I think Trey just needs to give me 40 goals. But I will say, as far as my biggest concern is the midfield, the middle of the field. It's the middle of the field, like, for me. I don't know specifically, but I will say this. There are two young men that are on that are in that class that came in. The opportunity is there for the taking, for them to get some real time. It's there. What I will say is I hope that one of the midfield coach, if you're going to watch this, I hope that one of you is developing one of these kids into being a true two-way midfielder, because your success in the last few years has been where you had a player, at least one. Jake Stevens before you had you had Jake Stevens. You had my man kind of was Sam English last year. You need somebody that's going to be great between the lines. But my biggest concern in regards to just the team is the midfield. I'm just very interested to see what the midfield is going to look like this year.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know how much you followed recent news. What do you think about freshman Jaden Kittleberger, midfielder? Rumblings in September, he's been outstanding.
I hate to say this, but we don't know what you have until he gets live bullets. You don't know until he gets out there and starts playing against other teams. We'll see what we have. I can give you an example. Within the first two practices, JoJo Marasco was like for real.
Yep.
Our first two practices, we were out there. I was like, yeah, he's gonna play a lot. He's gonna play a lot. And he was playing like he was incoming freshman, top 5 recruit. We were like, within the first two practices, we were like, he's gonna play a lot, just by the way he's playing. So I hope, and then this was after the live bullets. Like once he got in the game, was like, all right,
right.
I believe the hype, but I will say we'll have a better idea if we go up to those scrimmages and we see what it looks like against other teams.
Yeah, I think Saturday's huge.
Huge.
Is there any way, just for the fans out there, is there any way for them to be able to follow the game, even if it won't be live streamed?
Well,
I hate,
message board.
I hate to promote it, but the Syracuse fan message boards, because people will like live say what's happening.
Live say what's going on at the game.
Yeah.
Other than that, the only thing I could think of is if like I was like, hey guys, I'm going to the game and I'm gonna just not even live stream. I'm gonna go live, literally for the game. and be like, what am I saying or whatever. They usually don't really do a lot has changed because a lot of times when you do the fall ball stuff, they never do it in the dome. They never do it at court. So a lot of it is very local and it's at a high school, for example. So they're not going to do a bunch of coverage of it. But and they also they intended to be open to the public with the expectation that not many people will show up.
Yeah. Just to touch on that, I have 2 coworkers at work who knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
And they go to every lacrosse game. And I told them about it and they're like, wait, there's open fall ball. We can go to a lacrosse game in the fall.
I mean, I hope that becomes a normal thing because it, like you said, Jovan, it's a great opportunity to see the team before, as they're developing and building, right? So I remember going to the alumni games in the fall.
Yep.
Right.
Back in your era, Jovan, those were it was always the first weekend in October, second weekend in October, and I'd go every year, and it was so much fun. But I wish
to
they
see
would
somebody from 1940 play goalie, and then you get to see
Jamie Archer and some of those names. You're this is fun to watch some of these guys.
Right, absolutely.
We're good. Matt, you got any other questions for him?
You get an alumni game. Would you go out, Jovan?
Oh man! Even though I still work out like that, it would have to be some 40-minute game running time. Then I'd be bet, cool. But if we're talking, so I train for 3. I work out pretty much every all the time, but I trained to get ready for Lake Placid because that was my Super Bowl. That's the only time where I actually strap up and I'm gonna play hard. You know what I'm saying? So for this it'd be I'd be out there for 5 minutes, be okay, now
I'm good.
Let me get off.
To be fair, to give you some credit, I have some buddies who play in the Summer Henniker League, and they said you did pretty damn well. So
yeah, and again, that's just good fun. Not real, nothing to prove. We chilling, man.
The goals are to have fun and not get hurt, right?
That's the big fun. So not get hurt. So nah.
We all got to go to our jobs the next day.
Yeah, I would do something for them.
What's it like? I hate to make this joke, but we're 3 of us are older, right? What's it like playing against Charlie's kid at Shove? Is that kind of what you're talking about? Okay, I don't know. I don't know how bad a shape I'm in until I play against a high school kid.
I think I'm officially unk status. So I've now officially graduated from he used to play at Syracuse to that's unk, man. That's he's been playing here whatever. It's crazy because you do get a mixed bag, and I'm not saying this from an ego standpoint, but there's a good amount of dudes who know who I am, right?
Yeah.
Especially helmet on.
Yeah.
And then there's guys who are unfamiliar that another kid has to tell them he played at Syracuse or whatever. So it's a mixed bag, but playing against Charlie, that's the equivalent of God, I'm old. Was when I was out there, I'm yo, I am half this man's age, in the other way. You know what I'm saying? So
and he's jogging past me, and I'm running full speed, and I can't even.
The funny thing is, that's when you gotta know. That's the competitive edge of you just gotta know your limits. Where you I used to be able to I used to want to make this into a back and forth. I'm nah, I can have that goal. Nah, I can have that shot because I'm not gonna pull a hamstring over this.
Yep. Yeah, whenever I go and play and guys are too intense, I'm guys, let's relax here. This isn't the PLL. Let's calm down.
Yes, that's the unk roll right there. If you get slapped now I'm the old guy who goes over to the other bench yo, I got a job, bro. At some point you're gonna get where I'm at, but I got a job.
I was gonna say I did that in my alumni game a year after I graduated. I was doing that. I was I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to run. I don't really like it.
And it's weird. You just start taking on more of the titles and stuff. Right? CPA had his first alumni game this past summer, and like talking to everybody up there, and it was kind of like a who's who and knowing who's whatever. But bro, it comes to a point where you're like, hey man, like seriously though, like please don't slash me too hard.
Yeah.
Please.
Was Jack intersection? Was Harma?
Harma was there.
Who was
there?
From that team that was really good against Jordan Elbridge? Who was there from your team? He'll know. Matt, he gets it. He understands playing Jordan Elbridge back then is a little different.
Harm was at the alumni game. Yeah.
Okay.
Harm was there.
Amadon. No. I'm trying to think of who else.
No, didn't Josh play at Lafayette?
Josh was
Lafayette. That Lafayette team that won the state title. That team, that was a year before I got to CPA. Mm-hmm. That team was ridiculous. Actually,
that was Miles and Lyle, right? Was that Miles and Lyle?
That was Jeremy.
That was Jeremy.
That was Jeremy and Jerome. Okay,
Jeremy and Jerome.
That
guy went to Georgetown.
Yep.
They had John Greeley, who ended up being the number one overall recruit.
Yep.
Right? Yep. He was seeing time as an 8th grader.
Yeah. That's
like what?
Because Miles and Lyle were what, 15, 16? That was like their time.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. It's close to that.
Yeah, I remember my junior year we played Lafayette. So I went to Chittenango, Jovan. I don't know if I ever told you that. I went to Chittenango. And so we played Lafayette my junior year, and so Jeremy and Jerome might have been freshmen even, but like, and one of them put up 7 and 6 against us. Like I can still vividly remember the box score, like looking at it in the newspaper, and we lost like 17-2. Like it was insane.
Yeah.
I still joke with my best friend about how Jovan burned him in a man up situation. So it's fun. It's my fun talk because I think Jovan, I told you this. That was his first time playing, and he got to go man down, and Jovan was on the man up team. And he texted me after. He goes, "I'm never doing this again. I don't have any desire to play lacrosse after this." And I'm sure I'll get a text from him when he listens to this, but he knows. Like we joke about it. I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I'm having your old friend Jovan on." And he goes, "I don't want to talk about that moment." But
what were your years again? Were you 08 to 2012? Was that you?
At Cuse, I was technically 07 to 11.
7 to 11, okay.
Yeah, just because you know how they do like the years, like when the season actually starts, it'll be 08.
Yep.
But I actually was enrolled in 07. But yeah.
Matt, did you see my text about pulling up something?
Yes, I did.
Do you have that ready?
Yeah. Do you want to finish with that?
No, I want Jovan to do this because yeah. Well, so. We're gonna test your brain, okay? This is so when they put up the icon, like all the wins and all the little program put up all the wins. There's 13 4-time U.S. All-Americans in program history. I want to see how many. I want to see how many you can name because
So there's 13 4-time All-Americans. It doesn't necessarily mean first team.
13.
But,
4, okay. 4.
Yeah, sorry, I misspoke about that part.
Yep. So all 4 years they were All-American. I'll give you
program history, obviously.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. Casey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mikey.
Yep.
Gary.
Yep.
I think Paul.
Yep.
Rick.
Yep.
Lavelle.
Yep.
Yep.
It's on the tip of my tongue right now. There's another one. I'm seeing his face.
Matt, you might have to do the years with him. The years might, because I had to do the years when.
Hold on. Before you do years.
Okay.
So you're at 6 right now.
I'm at 6. McCabe.
Yep.
Oh, See, that's.
He's already crushing you, Dan.
I know he's the McCabe one got me though. That one most people don't think about though.
No, because there's some dudes were like, because you like hear about them all the time.
Yeah.
Throughout,
I know the one. I know the one that he'll kick himself
another
for.
one that's going to come. It's just
I'll give you the hint that Matt gave me. There's somebody. Matt, how did you phrase it? Somebody who passed away that they honor.
So Birdie.
Yep.
So Birdie.
Yep.
God bless him.
Matt, I also just want to point out he played a lot with some of these people. It's a little different than watching them. He remembers.
I was gonna say BC, but he was a 3-time All-American. Brian Crockett, but he was a 3-time, not 4-time.
Yep.
That's where I got tripped up because there's a lot of 3-time. There's
probably hundreds of 3-times.
3-timers.
So you've got 6 left.
6 left. Kavovit?
Matt's got all of them on the list.
Nope.
Not Kavovit.
Nope.
Okay. Ron Paul?
Yes.
Okay. RP.
Yep.
So fun fact too, Mikey is the only 4-time first team
All-American. That's right.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Is it because now I'm starting to go by the position, like I'm looking around the field now. We got a bunch of old ones, don't we? Like old dudes.
There's Brad Kotz, yep.
Brad Kotz.
There you go. Yep.
Because that's the oldest one.
Yep. Yeah. So Brad Kotz is the oldest one.
Brad Kotz was cold.
He's the oldest one.
He's the oldest one.
Okay. Yep. He's going to kick himself when he hears.
No, none of the Donahues.
No Donahues. Lockwood?
Yep.
Lockwood?
Yep.
I need 2 more, right?
3.
3 more.
He's gonna kick himself when you tell him these names, though. You know that because I did the same thing. I was like, oh crap, like
Hardy.
Who'd you say?
Dan Hardy.
Nope.
Shoot. He was 3-time. Abbott was a 3-time.
Yep.
Joel.
Now he's going through his teammates.
You know which one blew me away that he wasn't one was John.
I thought
Galloway
John would be too. Yeah,
I would have thought he would have been.
You know what's okay? Yeah, that's a crazy conversation too.
Yeah,
because of the goals against, and you look at the save percentage and all that.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got.
Matt, go years first, and then
So the most recent one of the people left is 2000 to 2003. And I will. You want me to tell you position too?
Sure.
Attack.
Was it Josh Kaufman?
No, but that's a good guess. On that same line.
That same line, though. Mike Springer?
Yep.
Mike Springer's a 4-time All-American?
Yep.
See, Matt, and you laughed at me.
Mike
He's
Springer?
had the same reaction
Yep.
I
he
did.
was
I'm sorry.
honorable mention.
Mike, but damn.
Yeah.
What?
He was honorable mention, 3rd team, honorable mention, 2nd team.
Okay.
So he was honorable mention twice.
I'm sorry, but he ain't colder than Josh Kaufman.
Yeah. Josh was my favorite player growing up as a kid.
Go ahead.
Next one is 92 to 95. And he played midfield.
Actually, this one I forgot about already. That's the worst part.
Is it Roy?
Yep.
Roy Colsey. He's the one that always like never always underappreciated how nice dude was.
He was 3rd team and then first for 3 years.
I was gonna say Kavovit's the one I thought would be on there, obviously, because he played obviously a lot during his time.
Yeah,
and Morrissey,
First of all, let me
as well.
Who was the last one?
All right, 89 to 92, and I think he played attack.
It's always fun when Matt says, "I think he played this position." I don't know. He could have been a goalie. He could have been a defenseman.
He's attacker mid. He's offense. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
Who is it?
So like right after Gary era, or part of Gary's era, and then right after.
Oh my God, Tom Marichek.
Yep, there you go.
Thank you. I'm about to say, bro, don't test me on my Q's facts, man. Don't play with me.
You did great. I did the same thing with Joey, and he got 10 out of 13. So
10 out of 13. That's solid. That's solid.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself for that one. That's good stuff.
But the thing with that is though, there's names that you forget, right? Like McCabe slips my mind, but he's talked about so much. I kicked myself.
Yeah, like
I was
the most underappreciated name is Brad Cox.
Yeah,
like people don't understand like how nice he was.
Yeah,
but like I'm pretty sure he doesn't really pay attention to any of these. But like I'd feel some type of way if they weren't mentioning me as one of the best midfielders that went through the university. If I'm a 4-time All-American at Cuse in the building stages of what the program is today, Brad Cox was that dude.
Right.
So I think that's a one where I'm like, people don't like. I didn't get any. I knew I got all my midfielders. How about that? I knew I was going to get all
I was hoping, listen, I was hoping Morrissey was on there just to trip you up, just to throw
Mojo,
like a more.
Mojo was on. I would have been mad at myself for that.
I would have laughed if there was one of Jovan's teammates and he's like, "Oh, I forget that one. It's on the tip of my tongue." And it's like, "Oh yeah, he was your line mate." Like you just.
Well, even looking at the list, so we mentioned Mikey was a 4-time first team. But there's only 1, 2, 3 guys that were a second team and then a first team the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Casey, Tom Marichek, and Brad Kotz.
Brad Kotz, like I said. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Brad Kotz is a West Jenny guy.
I think he
probably.
I'm pretty sure he's
who wasn't a West Jenny guy back then.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we're talking Section 3 lacrosse. Who wasn't a Jenny guy for a long time? I mean. Matt, I don't want to say this, but Jovan could have been a West Jenny kid. I'll say it. Like I think that's he knows this. We've joked about it. Like
right. The school is a mile up the road from this.
Yeah. Matt, but we talked about prep school. So Jovan wanted to go to Syracuse. So he said, I'm saying it in a nicer way than you'll phrase it. You know this, but he wanted to go to somewhere other than Syracuse, so he went to prep school. That's
really.
Yeah. No, I think we'll close out there. I think we've taken enough of your time, and I've got some questions for you about some untold stories that you won't say on air that I want to know off air. I'll just say it that. No, it's just. Somebody we referred to tonight. I just want to know how much of a backstory you can tell me. That's how I'll say it. So
I got you.
If you can't, I understand it. I get it. Like, because there's definitely something more to that story that meets the eye of the person that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you got anything else?
No, sorry I was late, boys, but thanks for hanging on long enough so I could be a part of it, Jovan.
I almost wanted to text you back and say, Matt, we're winding down. Please don't come on. Jovan doesn't want to talk to you. I got a private message that says no, but
I didn't want you to think I was avoiding you again, Jovan.
It's all good.
I heard that's what I heard. I heard every time Jovan shows up, Matt backs away and magically has things to do. Goes out to dinner with Joey and then pops onto the podcast. No, thank you, Jovan. I got to message you a couple of questions that I have that we can't discuss on here. Obviously, that we don't want to get into that can of worms. Let's just say it that way. Yeah. I don't want to launch you into your Desco rant. So
no, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but thank you for coming on. Obviously, we'll end it there because
I
didn't realize how. Yeah, go Orange.
Y'all be well. Appreciate your time, boys.
Yeah.
Yep.